Hey everyone, Sandy here. Welcome to another episode of Beyond Blessed. I wanted to actually come on here. Well, before I get started, sorry, I'm going to just say that Beyond Blessed, in case any of you don't know, Beyond Blessed is something that God had led me to do. It's about telling where God is at work in my life and or in general, and providing a Bible verse as well with it, and just really as a way to get his word out there and to lift each other up. And as Psalm 9:1 says, we need to make sure that we tell other people of his wonderful deeds. So let's do that. So I wanted to come on here. I was debating what I wanted to talk about in this video, and in Bible study yesterday, it just kind of came to me. We were talking about word in the wilderness, and we all go through our own kind of wilderness, obviously. And I'm sure a lot of us think about in the wilderness of our lives, we often think we need to get out of it. Like, get me out of this wilderness. I don't want to be in it. I don't want to deal with it anymore, and we try and escape it. But a lot of the times, and I know this may be hard to accept or really take in and even consider, but honestly, in my opinion, I think wilderness seasons of our lives, there's a purpose behind it. I really don't believe that God would allow us to go through wildernesses without some kind of reason, underlying reason that we just don't know or can't see at the moment. And I really think that, like I mentioned in another Beyond Blessed video, about falling off a bike, like when we fall off a bike, are we going to stay down and pout and mope about, oh, we fell off a bike, or are we going to get back up and keep trying and keep trying? And it's pretty much the same about wilderness seasons in our lives. I mean, there's always a reason for why we're going through it. I believe that for me, I love to cling to God. I love to cling even tighter to God during hardships. And so when hardships come, when those wilderness seasons come into my life, I know it's not easy. I'm not trying to make it out to be, oh, it's so easy for me to cling to God even tighter during wilderness seasons in my life. It's not that easy. But for me, I do believe that wilderness seasons are helpful for me because it's just another opportunity to rely on God and to see his perfect power in my weakness, to show other people what he's made of, what he can do in the impossible, in the uncertainty. So anyways, with that, um, I'm going to get into my beyond blessed, where God has been at work in my life. So this is something that actually happened a couple of years ago. It's not something that I thrive on talking about a lot. I'm going to have to like reframe it a little bit, reword it here and there because of some personal things in it that are going to be kept private. And so, anyways, I'm trying to figure out where to start. So, a couple of years ago, I was living with a couple, and the landlady actually came and told us, randomly. We thought she was going to just fix something in the apartment, but she came and pretty much gave us a heads up that we are being evicted with like no cause eviction. And we had, a couple months to move out. And I mean, I'm not going to say too much about the couple I stayed with for, personal reasons and, private reasons. I will just say that they they had some disabilities and some health issues that they needed help with. And at the time that I was living with them, I wasn't doing everything, but I was doing what I could to help them out, and without trying to exhaust myself pretty much. And so, I mean, just getting that news, it was not the greatest in the world. I mean, I was just really shocked. I think I was stunned a lot at first. I couldn't really wrap my head around it for a while. There was actually a point where people would bring it up with us. You know, obviously we were telling people because we were, you know, we needed to find another place to live. And I just like I remember there was a time when people would bring it up with us and I wanted nothing to do with it. Like I couldn't even hear the word house or housing without cringing and was like, I need space from this topic for a little bit because I don't want to invite Satan in the door and react in ways that are ungodly. It's like I needed that space away so that I can get time with God that I needed and to keep clinging to God and focus on him and try and handle this in a godly manner because it was like a curveball. It was not something that we expected at all. So anyways, like we obviously filled out housing applications. We were making so many phone calls, talking to so many people, trying to find another place to stay. And obviously, you know, for those facing homelessness, I'm sure you know the struggle with trying to find a place to live. I mean, we checked out some places and I'm going to be honest, doors just kept closing. They kept closing and closing and closing on us just when we were like really hopeful, like, oh, things are good. We feel like really good about this place. I think we're going to get it. Nope, went to someone else. And it was really, really hard. It was really hard. Actually, the time we had to be out was actually around when it was starting to get colder and when the snow was going to come. And so obviously there was this thought that are we going to be homeless in the winter and the cold freezing snow? Are we going to be living out on the streets, you know, with no place to go? Like what's going to happen? Obviously, like I'm very strong in my faith and I stand by that. And it was not easy for me. It was not easy for either one of us. Like the couple I was staying with, it was very hard on them. It was very hard on me. It was very hard for all of us, seriously. And you know, obviously we were intensely scared, we were intensely worried, we were intensely concerned, but at the same time, like I'm so devoted to God, and I'm not saying this is anything I'm doing. Like I'm not saying that I'm not trying to boast about myself. I'm not trying to boast about my faith. I'm just saying because I'm so devoted to God, I have his promises. Like I read his word every single day, not even once a day. Like I'm not kidding. I read God's word, his Bible. I read it at least 6 or 7 times a day, at least. Like I'm very devoted because I need that in the world that we live in. I need his word to fall back on. I need to engrave it in my heart. I need to know it. I need to like feel it in my bones, in my soul. I need it. Like I need food more than I need food. We all need it. And so I know what God says. I know that God will provide. And I definitely believe that in this wilderness season of, you know, trying to find a home when we're facing homelessness with winter coming. It was very, very hard. It was very, very hard. Like I said, doors kept closing and we got so many opinions. It was like so much help from different people. And unfortunately, I'm not going to get into a lot of details, obviously, for privacy reasons and such, but I mean, we couldn't find a place. We could not find a place to live. Like we tried and tried and tried and we couldn't. I mean, we still were looking, but we were just exhausted. Like we kept trying and looking at places and filling out applications and making so many phone calls, like so much of the time, and we couldn't find anything. And unfortunately, we ended up staying past the date we were supposed to be out of. And you know, just feeling like we didn't really want to do that, but at the same time, we didn't want to live on the streets. And we were thinking maybe if we just stayed past, like even a little bit past the date or something, we'll have to like face court or whatever, which is another huge stressor that we really didn't need. But at the same time, it would buy us some time to try and get out of there. It was horrible. It was so horrible. I mean, my relationship with half of the couple I stayed with, it went downhill. It was not that great, and I'm not going to get into details about it because I'm not trying to bash the person. We weren't seeing eye to eye. Obviously, I mean, I don't even really know what to say without getting into too many details about it. I'm just going to say that the person's attitude changed very dramatically, and it was very hard to be around the person, much less live with the person. And I love this person. I love the couple dearly, even to this day. And I'm so blessed. I'm beyond blessed that God allowed me to stay with them as long as I did and try and help them out as much as I could. And yeah, it my relationship with half of the couple really changed. The attitude that half the couple, that person I was living with had in general. And it was hard to be around. It was so hard to be around. I felt like I had to hibernate in my bedroom a lot of the time just to get away from all that was going on. Like, I'm just going to say ungodly things. I couldn't be around it. I just could not. It was very unhealthy to be around. And I had people telling me, I don't know how you put up with it. I don't know how you can live here and be around that attitude all the time. And it definitely, I will tell you, God got me through. He got me through, and I am beyond blessed that God got me through it. I couldn't have gotten through it without him. I really couldn't. And during this whole thing, people were actually wondering why I don't just find a place of my own. And I mean, I don't mind. Like I could have, but I saw the underlying reason. It was not just about me. It wasn't. It was not just about me. I mean, it was not just me going through it. It was the couple I lived with. They were going through it too. And they too, they had disabilities and health issues that they needed help with. And I just happened to be there to try and do what I could to help, you know? I mean, the way that I think about it, I personally, if any of you are visual learners like I am, maybe this will help you kind of understand where my mind was at. I felt like the couple and I were on a sinking ship, and we needed to find a lifeboat before we went down with it. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like a really a really severe sinking ship kind of situation, and we needed to leave. We needed to get out. We needed to find an escape, like a safe escape, or otherwise we would drown, like we needed a lifeboat. And we were looking and looking and looking, and no lifeboat available. Like others kept taking it and sailing off. That's what it felt like for me. And so a Christian sister actually came to me, and she actually offered um the couple and I to stay with her. God bless her for that. And when it was just her and I, eventually, she and I got to talking, and there would be times it was so bad I was just crying. I was just crying to her. I was like crying in front of her. I was crying in front of other people, like just talking, even on phone calls, and just crying. Like, this is so bad. I don't know what's going to happen. I know God's faithful. Don't get me wrong. I was not trying to doubt God whatsoever. I know God was going to deliver us. I just did not know how. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know the outcome. I didn't know when, and it was like I was trying to hang on as much as I could. And so, yeah, I mean, people were wondering, why don't I just live by myself? But like I said, it wasn't just about me, it was about them. And I felt like my heart at the time, my heart was just with them, like trying to help them out and not just think about myself. And so, the Christian sister, she told me, she said, God told me to offer this to you. Why don't you come stay with me? Why don't you come live with me? And I will be honest, I was not ready. I was nowhere near ready because, like I said, my heart was set on I need to help the couple I'm staying with. Like, I need to help them. Like, I can't just leave them to fend for themselves, you know? I mean, I know I'm not saying they were incapable of finding their own place. It's just I just felt so bad. I felt like we're on this sinking ship together. We're gonna get out together, kind of like, firefighter or whatever. There's this movie. I've never been a firefighter, so please, correct me if I'm wrong. But I saw this movie about firefighting, and supposedly it might just be in the movie. I don't know if it's real or not, but to go into the fire, to come out, like you don't leave anyone behind. And if that's true, I mean that's how I felt, like we're in this together. I'm not just gonna bail and get on my own lifeboat and say, all right, sayonara, good luck. I'm not going to do that. That's not who I am. And my heart was just set on helping them and getting us out together. Not I'm not saying I was trying to get us out together. I'm just saying like we all were trying. It's just like I wanted to get out together. Like I wanted us to get through this together and not separate. But then as time went on, I was doing a lot of praying, I was doing a lot of crying. I was like begging God, God, like what are you what are you doing? Like I wasn't blaming God, but I was like what's going on? Like please provide a house for us. Provide a place for us. Like I was just begging God, like please just help us. Like I know who you are. And I wasn't trying to diminish God. I was not trying to put him in a box. I was at a very desperate place. Like time is running out. I mean, it could be any day, any moment when, like, even a sheriff or whoever would have to come to our door and just take away our keys and we have to leave. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. I was completely in the dark about it. I was just like, God, please deliver us. Deliver us through this. Like, enough of this wilderness. And it was very hard and things got worse. My relationship with the other person that I lived with, half of the couple I lived with, it got worse, even worse, and it just got to the point where it pushed me to my limit. Like I wasn't ungodly or anything, no, nothing like that. It pushed me to my limit. It pushed me so much toward being motivated to say, all right, God, I surrender. Like I will fully submit. What do you want me to do in this wilderness? What do you want from me? Like I was completely, I was like fully surrendering everything to God in that moment. And I know I should have done that earlier. It's not easy when you're going through wilderness. And I was just talking about this with someone recently, like why do we say that yes, we trust God and we know he's going to provide for us, but yet we still worry so much and stress so much of the time over so many things. I don't know, human flesh versus spirit kind of thing must be. But so I was motivated and I completely surrendered all of it to God and I said, God, what do you want from me? Like what do you want me to do in this? Like how do you want to use me in this? Like what do you need of me right now? And I was just asking God like for answers, not really just saying, God, please deliver us. Like I was willing to listen, like God, I need your guidance. I need your wisdom. Like please help me. Like help me get out of this. What do you need me to do? What do you want me to do right now? Cuz I don't know how much more I can deal with it. And I really obviously, I will just say this, I'm not the kind of person that would thrive on bashing anybody, even if it means I get mistreated. I would never resort to that level. I'm not like that, and I don't believe in that either. So, yeah, I surrendered all to God, the whole situation to God. I was more apt to listen to God. I was actually 110% on board with submitting and fully obeying God, whatever He wanted me to do in that moment, in the situation. I mean, things were not getting better. I mean, like doors just kept closing and closing and closing and closing, and we couldn't do anything. It seemed like it was completely impossible to get through. It seemed very impossible to get through. And so eventually I did hear from God, and it's like God told me right in that moment, because He knew I was ready for it. He knew I was willing to just do whatever He said, because I needed His guidance so badly. Even more so, when time went on and we still didn't find a place, and just everything was just so horrible. Like, I don't like to use this word lightly, but I will say that that was hell for me. That was hell for me. That was the opposite of heaven. I definitely do not want to go through anything like that again. I mean, obviously, God definitely made me stronger in it. It was just it was very stressful, like just exhausting and stressful, and the worst thing to go through. And so, yes, God told me He wants me to move in with my Christian sister, who told me that God told her to have me move in with her. And I wasn't ready to hear it at that time, but I definitely was on board when she said it. I was fully submissive to God. I was obeying God. I was like, all right, God, let's do this. So we made plans, and I kept praying for the couple I stayed with, like, God, please provide for them. Please provide for them. And one thing that God taught me in that season of wilderness in my life was I need to make sure that I'm not taking on so many burdens that are not mine to carry. Those are Jesus's to carry. I mean, I can only try my best. I heard this line from Breakthrough. It says, make sure you try your best and let God do the rest. And that really stuck out to me with that movie, and that's what I've been trying to do. I just want to try my best, but I'm not meant to carry on all those burdens. And as much as I really, really wanted to help the couple more than I was able to, more than I could, I needed to really let them go to God and to Jesus, and let God do with them as He sees fit. I'm not saying like in a bad way, I'm just saying He can provide. I needed to let go of control and stop saying, oh, if I'm not here, then who's going to help them? I needed to surrender that to God, and I did. And the day actually came when I officially moved out of there. And it probably would have been harder if we were on good terms, I guess. I mean, the couple and I right now, we're on good terms now, but back then it was very hard for all of us. I mean, obviously we all were just living in fear, and we were very scared, and we didn't know what was going to happen. But I moved out, and I ended up moving here with my Christian sister. God bless her heart, seriously, for this. And she's amazing. She's a rock star. I love her so much. And I'm not even kidding you. The day after I moved out of that, well, the day after I got off the sinking ship and into my own lifeboat to try and meet my Christian sister and live with her, so to speak, the couple I stayed with found their own lifeboat. And they actually moved out as well the day after I did. And they got into a place they're still living in now. And yeah, things are like obviously better, because, we all found a place to live. And even though it's not together, they're still, getting other ways of help and stuff, and still trying to manage that. And I'm doing really well living with my Christian sister, and I enjoy it a lot. And I am just so beyond blessed that God got all three of us through that horrible, horrible wilderness. And I am so beyond blessed that we have a father who provides for us. And so I know I'm already at like 25 minutes right now, so I'm just going to end with a few Bible verses. The first one I'm going to read is Isaiah 54:17 from CEV. It says, "Weapons made to attack you won't be successful. Words spoken against you won't hurt at all. My servants, Yerushalayim is yours. I, the Lord, promise to bless you with victory." Isn't that amazing? I love just taking that last part of the verse. I, the Lord, promise to bless you with victory. He promises to bless us with victory. It's so amazing. I love it so much. And so there's a couple more verses I actually want to say as well. This one I'm sure a lot of you may know. This is from NIV. Yeah, I don't think I've read from this Bible in these videos before. This is the main NIV that I use. I've had this for a few years and it's unfortunately tattered. So that's why I'm being very careful with it. So Romans 8:28, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." I love that verse. I love that verse. That was NIV, by the way. And then another one actually I want to read is James 1:12. "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." I love that. I'm going to read that again. It's such a great verse. James 1:12 NIV. "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." I love verses where it talks about God promises us something. I love that. And so the last one, the main verse that I really wanted to go over, is from 1 Peter 5:10 NIV. "And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast." I love that. I love that. It talks about after you've suffered a little while, he'll restore you. I love that. So I hope you guys know, whatever suffering you're going through, you're going to see a victory. You're going to see a victory. God and Christ Jesus will restore you. You just got to let them do it. You got to believe. You need to have your faith bold and strong and firm as much as you can, and just trust. Trust God with your entire life, and he will get you through. And I just want to let you know, God works in his own ways. He doesn't work in our ways. He works in his own ways. And he does things in ways only he can do. He doesn't do what we expect him to do. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you give your entire life to God and you completely trust him to get you through your suffering. He will give you a victory in his own way, in his own time. It may not be what you think it will be, but he'll get you through. One way or another, he will get you through in ways you wouldn't even expect. So I'm going to end, and thank you for joining me for Beyond Blessed. I hope that you know that if you're suffering, I hope this video can encourage you and uplift you and give you even a glimpse of hope It's not over. Your suffering is not over. It's not the end of the chapter. It's not the end of the book. There's light at the end of the tunnel. That light is Jesus Christ. Hold on to him so tight that your life depends on it. He will get you through. He will get you through. Just please believe that. So, anyways, until next time, first of all, real quick, where have you seen God at work in your life? Leave a comment. Let's lift each other up and love one another and make sure that we tell people where God is at work and of his beautiful, wondrous deeds. So until next time, have a blessed day and God bless always.